Welcome back everybody, Max here with Cattle Hunting, and today we're going to do a little bit of a different video, a little bit more educational and not a review over here. I saw a lot of other silver and stacking channels talk about the high premiums and the silver price and the overall situation in the silver market right now, which is a little bit unique and very different to the past. And I also want to talk about why I stack silver and why I am a big believer in silver long term. Have a few coins laid out here just for you guys to have something nice to look at while I'm talking. A few bullion pieces here, like this beautiful 1 ounce Britannia from 1999 here. Also some US dollars and some Canadian dollars. But let's start talking about the premiums. As you guys know, premiums on silver, especially online, have been absolutely insane in recent times. Actually, they have been pretty insane since March last year when silver took a huge dip, and they basically never really recovered from it. The situation got a little bit better towards the end of the summer, but then now with the silver squeeze on Reddit and other similar situations, we've seen premiums of up to $10 Canadian, or actually around $10 Canadian per ounce online, and maybe a little bit less than that in local coin shops. And I've seen many people talking about the price of physical silver actually disconnecting from the silver price. So I wanted to say my opinion about it, and to cut it short, I do not agree with this at all. I don't believe that there's a silver shortage out there at all. Actually, if you guys look right now and search for 1,000-ounce bars, you will find out very quickly that you can buy 1,000-ounce bars right now for a premium of roughly $1 an ounce, or maybe $1.50 an ounce. And that is actually a pretty drastic increase in those premiums, because last year, before the whole craziness, those things basically sell for premiums of maybe 20 cents per ounce or something like this. So what we're seeing basically is a shortage of investor silver bars and rounds in the sector of 1 to 10 ounces. There's actually not really a silver shortage. At least all the numbers indicate that there is not. The demand for investment silver has gone up significantly last year. The numbers are not complete yet, and there's not very 100% reliable numbers, but what from the sources that I searched, the investment demand for silver has gone up by roughly 20% last year. At the same time, the industrial demand went down by roughly 8% last year. So maybe on the first glance, it looks like silver is getting really popular, but we have to understand that silver is most of all an industrial commodity. It's very different to gold. So a spike of 16% in investment bullion demand for silver is actually much less than a decrease of 7% in the industrial demand, because in silver we are usually looking at 85% industrial demand, and we are looking at 15% investment demand roughly. Last year, the numbers indicate that it has been a little bit different, that the investment demand went up to 20%, but we still have a 4 times higher industrial demand and investment demand. And that is also the main reason why we do not see silver going to the moon right now. The driving force for the silver price is not investment, and has not been for a long time. I often see that stackers or people that are very into the stacking community often overestimate the influence of silver investment on the silver price. And when they see premiums going up, they actually start believing that the silver price is actually higher than it is, but it is not true. It is actually just a common demand and supply situation. You can actually see that if you look right now on all the bigger bullion dealers online, and look at bigger LCSs or local coin shops in Canada and the US, what you will find out is that you will see a significant higher price at the online bullion dealers compared to the local coin shops. And that is due to the reason that the demand online has been absolutely insane and higher than the demand in brick and mortar stores. So you can already see it there. You can also see it if you look at it coin by coin. Like American Silver Eagles have a higher premium right now than, for example, Maple Leafs or even Australian coins right now. And that is also due to the high demand on Silver Eagles. That does not mean there's a shortage of silver out there. It just means that there's a really high demand on bullion products, and especially small bullion product, because to this day you can buy large bullion bars, 100 ounce, 500 ounce, 1 kilo bars, or even 1,000 ounce bars for very, very close to spot. So don't make the mistake thinking that only because the investment silver is going up in price, it means that silver is going up in price, because again, the industrial demand is what drives the price and not the investment demand. And that is where I'm transitioning to why I stack silver. And if I look at the stacking community, I see a lot of people that stack because they are basically prepper stackers for like some kind of shit hits the fan scenario, or that people stack as a hedge against inflation. Both of those things is not at all why I stack silver. I actually don't believe that silver is a good hedge against inflation. It might be a pretty good hedge against hyperinflation. I think that is what most people mean. But if you look at this development of the silver price over the last 40 years, it has actually a net yield of minus 2.5%. So we do not really see silver being a good hedge against inflation at all in long-term scenarios. Of course, that's different if you have hyperinflation. But if you have hyperinflation in the Western world, there is going to be completely different problems than your silver. And I do not believe at all that is a good strategy to stack. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor and everybody has his reasons, but I personally do not stack because of that. I stack because I believe in silver as an industrial commodity. That is also why I stack predominantly silver. I'm not very keen on gold. I sometimes get gold coins if I find the deal to be very, very good and I have a good feeling about flipping it for a profit in the future. But overall, I'm not a really big believer in gold, but I'm a big believer in silver. And that is mainly, again, because silver is an industrial commodity and silver has been in higher and higher demand in the last few years. Last year obviously saw a huge dip, and that is because of the crisis, because of the pandemic. Production across the industries has been down, no matter if it's cars, no matter if it's solar panels, no matter if it is other technological devices, but the sales have been down, the economy has been down, and that is what is suppressing the silver price right now. Actually, I believe that if we would not have the boom in investment right now, in silver investment, we would actually see silver much lower than it is right now. And I believe we will come to a point in a 15 to 20 year window when the mining production of silver is going to go down, but the demand is going up at the same time, because most modern technology uses actually quite a lot of silver. Every solar panel has 2/3 of an ounce of silver, so it's a lot of silver per solar panel. And the same thing happens in electric cars, where we actually saw new numbers released pretty recently that the amount of silver you need for electric cars is much, much higher than anticipated. So overall, I see a scenario where the demand is just outgrowing the supply, and that is why I'm a believer in silver. I am not a big believer in gold personally long term, because I am not such a big, such a big believer in this whole gold and silver are real money kind of theory that we will have a currency again that is backed by gold. I do not see that happening at all. Of course, I could be wrong. I have a problem with this silver and gold being real money statement. I understand where it's coming from, but the main argument for it is usually because it has been like this for 5,000 years, and that is just not a good argument. Things change. We are not saying that, I don't know, horses are real transportation because we have been using horses for 5,000 years and cars are going to go away. This is just not really logical. Things change over time. And I think that there's actually a lot of competition for gold as a classic investment, as a hedge against inflation and so on, and that's mainly Bitcoin. I actually think Bitcoin and gold are very, very similar fundamentally. And I think that gold has been seeing a downtick and also not the increase that we expected in inflationary times like today, because a lot of the money that is usually going into the gold market is going into Bitcoin, and a direct competition for that is not very, very good in terms of long-term investment. I also do not at all believe in silver as a good short-term investment. I do not see silver going through the moon. I'm personally looking at a 10 to 20 year window for silver to go up, going up, and I don't see any real reason for any short-term gains in silver. The main reason would be that we see huge infrastructural investments across the world by different governments that basically invest into renewable energy, because again, the driving force for the silver price will not be investment or stacking. The driving force for the silver price will be increased industrial demand and a good economic situation. For example, if you saw the dip in March when we had stores shutting down and the crisis basically hitting us, we saw gold maybe going down roughly 10%. So a pretty moderate loss compared to silver, at least, because silver went down almost 40%. And that is again because the industrial order is going down because people anticipate bad times, and that is what is driving the silver price. So please always keep in mind, if you read all of those investment channels and those stacking channels, that you do not overestimate the influence of stacking on the silver price. It is really not minimal, but much, much smaller than most people think. And only because premiums are high and you can't buy silver online for something close to spot, that does not at all mean that the silver price is actually higher than it is, at least in my opinion. It just means that the demand for silver is super, super high, and the demand for those specific silver products is high. If you want to buy, for example, junk silver now, you can still get it for pretty decent prices. The most LCSs I go to still sell you junk silver for something like 3% over spot, and even that online is much, much more expensive, and that is because the demand is higher. So please do not mistake high demand and a supply shortage, because that is what the problem is right now. The mints cannot keep up with the orders, and they're not used to that volume of orders and cannot produce enough bullion fast enough. That is the reason, not because there is not enough silver. So people, please be careful. I would really advise people not to pay those crazy premiums. At least I am not doing it. The highest premium I am willing to pay for any silver is $1 over spot, and even that is something I do not really feel comfortable with. I'm trying to buy my silver at spot, and if you do the effort and the work, there's no problem buying silver at spot right now, unless you're living in a really rural area or somewhere where you have absolutely no coin shops around or no people dealing in silver. Then obviously, if you really want silver, buy it online. I also understand the convenience, but the silver is out there to buy close to spot. And that is also the last thing I want to say here in this video. That is why I personally have much more junk silver than bullion. Because it is usually much easier to find junk silver or Morgan dollars or Canadian dollars in private transactions than it is bullion. And bullion usually has a high demand, so it has a high premium. That has been like this before the crisis as well, even though not so bad. It was actually pretty manageable premiums of probably $2 per ounce before the crisis. But junk silver was still cheaper, so I personally prefer it. Obviously, if I have the choice and I get junk silver and bullion for the same price, I also personally prefer the bullion. But I do not like buying silver for 30 to 40% over its actual price, which is the situation right now. It is an investment where you start in the negative, and silver will have to go up a significant amount just to recoup your money. Because if you are selling silver, most of the time what you can expect for bullion is something around spot. You will not recoup those premiums. Maybe right now, if you're willing to sell because of the high demand and the supply shortage, some dealers will pay you over spot. But in the long run, if you are planning to stack for a longer time, this is a very unique situation, and you will get very close to spot for your junk silver, and you will also get very close to spot for your bullion. I'm not a big believer in paying large premiums, and I would advise most people not to do so. Alright guys, I think that was it for today. I hope you enjoyed me rambling about silver a little bit, because it actually got to me a little bit. I often find that many other stacking channels give I would say a very bad perspective on things, and are very, very tunnel visioning into stacking. They basically have the tunnel vision of, oh my god, the premiums are high, that means silver is more expensive. And it's just not true. Please don't overestimate the influence of the stacking community or the investment community on the silver price. That is how I want to end this video. And also guys, I'm obviously not a financial advisor. I have no problem if anybody has a different opinion on this topic than I have. Please share your opinion with me. I'm very happy to discuss anything, and I'm always super happy for any input and to learn anything about gold and silver. So please guys, go ahead, comment and let me know how you like this video. I will be back on the weekend with another junk silver review and maybe a coin roll hunt before that. Let's see how things happen. But nevertheless, thank you guys for watching so much, and I will see you guys soon. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so, and have a good one.